What if I told you that Tamar Braxton's personal life's unadulterated instability served as the basis for the year's most dramatic confrontation rather than a pre-planned reality TV show? Imagine Yandy Smith, who based her entire brand on love, loyalty, and refusing to let anybody inside her marriage, abruptly violating all the rules and boundaries and letting her fans out in a way they have never seen before. And Tamar Braxton, the object of that anger. Yes, the singer, drama queen, and survivor Tamar is the subject of rumors, direct messages, and a startling accusation that she slept with Mendeecees, Yandy's partner. According to the streets, Tamar was bloodied and battered at the end of the night. When police arrived on the scene, Yandy left with she went from being a devoted wife to being accused of being vindictive. Was it envy? Was it treachery? Or was it an uncontrollably desperate PR ploy? Social media investigators are already assembling the jigsaw as if it were the newest, most captivating soap drama, and each fresh leak just serves toits messier. This isn't merely rumors, that much is clear. This scandal has the potential to reshape relationships, reputations, and reality television in general. And we're revealing everything tonight. There was no street pandemonium or flashing lights the night everything fell apart. It started like a lot of scandals. Quietly in a packed club where the talk was brewing, the music was too loud, and the bottles were too pricey. That Friday, the B12 Lounge in Atlanta was completely filled. It's the kind of night where fans and celebrities mingle and everything seems like it may make the news. Mendeecees and Tamar Braxton were in the center of it all. To be clear, this was more than simply a friendly networking event. Mendeecees wasn't just passing through, and Tamar wasn't shaking hands with a promoter. The two appeared locked in, whispering, laughing too close, and leaning in as though the bass of the music was their justification, according to several witnesses who said they were in the room, forming a small bubble of their own. According to one witness, Tamar even leaned against him as if she didn't care who was looking. Mendeecees wasn't retreating, according to another. He leaned straight back in, if anything. The thing with nightlife in Atlanta is this. Nothing remains a secret for a long time. 3 things are present in every club: bloggers, cameras, and individuals who are prepared to pitch a story before the DJ has finished playing the final song. Blurred videos were already making the rounds on the internet by midnight. Tamar's smile is too big. Mendeecees is bending over too much. Admirers adding fireball and side-eye emojis as captions. If you know Tamar, you are aware that she feeds on attention. However, she wasn't being untidy on a reality program. She was being untidy in Yandy's domain. Remember, Yandy Smith has made her reputation as a devoted wife her whole life. The person who supported Mendeecees despite jail term, public rumors, and all of the trolls on Instagram. More times than her admirers can count, she has laughed off side chicks in direct messages, punched back at women online, and shared those love conquers all pictures. She placed her reputation on the line by marrying Mendeecees. Thus, picture the storm when those murmurs began to spread. By 1 in the morning, Tamar didn't leave the club by herself. Witnesses said that she left with her longtime friend and close associate Funky Deva. Apparently, he was going to take her home. However, this is the kicker. Mendeecees came next. It was not a coincidence nor a casual departure. He followed closely behind, shadowing Tamar's automobile, according to several witnesses. Things didn't stop at the curb when they arrived to Tamar's house. According to Funky, there was a little after-party with Mendeecees, Tamar, and a couple of other people entering. The greatest mystery of the evening is still what transpired behind those doors. Tamar was discovered battered, bleeding, and hardly conscious hours later. Facial swelling, missing teeth, and the kind of wounds that leave scars after they are healed. Tragic accident, according to Tamar's official story. Fans, however, didn't buy it. The time frame was too disorganized. Police are called after she departs with Mendeecees, who is left battered. This wasn't an accident, according to the internet. It was retaliation. Then everyone looks at Yandy. Why? Since Yandy's history is unambiguous. When it comes to her marriage, she doesn't play. On hip-hop in love, she has faced the brunt of the Mendeecees controversies, even going so far as to say that she protected him by sending dubious DMs. She was publicly dubbed a liar by her co-stars, but she refused to back down. It's not even close to being ride or die. Being unwavering, impenetrable, and unbreakable with her family is the foundation around which Yandy created her brand. Fans thought she might have lost her temper because of this. Because the lady who pretended to be her man online might just as well handle things herself. In actuality, the streets could easily see Yandy pulling up herself if Tamar went too far. Let's fuel the fire with more fuel now. Mendeecees' birthday was celebrated on Instagram with Yandy, just a few days before the whole affair broke. Lengthy subtitles, sincere homages, and toasts at private dinners. It was the sort of public display of affection that shouts, "We're solid." As relatives and friends applauded, videos from the dinner showed Mendeecees lifting a glass and referring to Yandy as his everything. He even added, "You are my foundation, my companion, my closest friend. I love you forever." So consider that. After being seen with him in a bar a few days later, Tamar is taken to the hospital with severe injuries. For the general public, this was no accident. It was cause and effect. Additionally, if you believe that the internet would overlook this, you should reconsider. Fans created whole timelines on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Another remark that went viral stated, "The sirens, the flashing lights, the vague police reports, something's being covered up." Another commented, "Yandy beat up Tamar because she was messing with her husband. Period." The speculation began. Was Tamar's new music video being hurriedly released by her team to divert attention from the controversy? Because a trailer that included Mendeecees himself unexpectedly came out earlier than anticipated. Control of damage. Anyone? The murmurs increased in volume. Tamar wasn't merely having sex with Yandy's partner. She allegedly tried to use a public relations gimmick to change the course of events. However, the issue with stunts is straightforward. The internet is too fast for you. The story belongs to the people once the rumors start. There was a lot of rumor going on in Atlanta. Club patrons claimed to have seen that night. Yandy's car was close to Tamar's area. Before the police arrived, neighbors reported hearing shouting. Fans exploded with theories after blogs presented headlines ranging from crime scene drama to hip-hop and love. Some urged Yandy to use her hands. Some thought Tamar staged it to get attention. However, everyone acknowledged that this was no typical mishap. It becomes much more hazy at this point. Tamar's driver that evening, Funky Deva, went public. Angry about being pulled into the issue, he vented on Instagram. He wrote that I was collateral damage in a publicity stunt. He charged when admirers pointed the finger upon him. Tamar remained silent, claiming she never cleared his name. His rage merely fueled the flames. Why should anybody else believe her account if even her own friends didn't? Tamar remained evasive throughout it all, writing about getting well and moving on, but she never addressed the actual query. In reality, what took place that evening? That quiet turned into a sort of admission. Because silence speaks louder than words in the realm of rumor. At this point, three perspectives are colliding. Yandy's reputation as the ultimate ride or die, Tamar's near-fatal accident, and Funky Davis's treachery in public. When you combine them, the result is an excessively messy controversy to disregard. After Tamar's ambiguous posts and Quirky Davis's outburst, the story continued to be heated. Something much dirtier was created when it ignited. Because the second wave was complete mayhem if the first wave was supposition. The floodgates suddenly opened as everyone claimed to have inside information. DMs from anonymous users flooded blogs. Investigators on TikTok edited hazy video with dramatic soundtrack, and even fictitious police reports started to circulate. The wild part is that it was widely accepted on the internet. Police at the site were heard stating, "This isn't just an accident," according to one alleged source. Another anonymous source claimed that just before sirens sounded, Tamar's neighbors noticed a woman wearing a hoodie exiting her home. This looks like an altercation. And who, in your opinion, did fans choose as the mysterious woman? Yandy Smith, that's who. The story almost wrote itself. Hashtags were popular by this point. Hashtag Mindy's mess, hashtag Yandy versus Tamar, and hashtag showdown. Every platform was a war. Justice was demanded by Tamar's supporters. Supporters of Yandy vowed that she would never jeopardize her fame and affection, and hip-hop stans only popped popcorn and viewed it as though it were a brand new season unfolding in real life. It was exacerbated by the blogs. Some headlines read, "Yandy Smith denies involvement but fans aren't buying it. The frenzy was unstoppable." Others read, "Tamar in bloodied state after alleged love triangle fight." Finally, the audio leak surfaced. A shaky 2-minute video that was purportedly taken outside Tamar's neighborhood on the evening of the event surfaced online. It featured a woman yelling, "Keep my husband's name out of your mouth," followed by sirens coming and muffled screams. It didn't even matter if it was real. The impression was sufficient. The theory was solidified when fans immediately identified the voice as Yenda. She found Tamar slipping and made her pay. There were other purported pieces of proof, nevertheless. Internet investigators discovered a grainy image of a black SUV close to Tamar's driveway, which they identified as Yandy's typical vehicle. While Tamar screamed inside, another witness said they saw him walking outside DC's. It was disorganized. It was dramatic and extremely popular on social media. Tamar's squad attempted to regain control in the interim. They framed her, leaked glimpses of her studio sessions, and aggressively promoted her impending singled accident as a moment of survival. However, the rumor always brought Yandy back into the conversation whenever they attempted to change the subject. Because this is the reality. A scandal is more popular than a song. And the scandal was writing itself in this instance. For her part, Yandy first remained strangely silent.
No posts, nothing, no clapbacks.
And no denial could have outscreamed that stillness. It was regarded as guilt by fans. Memes appeared all at once. Boxing rings were photoshopped into Yandy. In hospital beds, Tamar. Mendeecees is perplexed in the center. The internet has already made a decision regarding roles. The aggressor, Yandy. The victim is Tamar. Mendeecees receives the infamous award. Yandy then abruptly ended her silence in the most dramatic manner imaginable. She seemed cool, composed, and completely dismissive during an Instagram live. She remarked, "Y'all are really bored." She rolled her eyes. She didn't specifically name Tamar when she said, "I was at home with my kids that night. Stop playing with my family." Damage was done before the word fight was even uttered. The comments were inundated by fans. That's precisely what it is. What someone who is guilty would say. Others contended that she was legitimately defending herself. Her life merely fueled the flames. And Mendeecees wasn't doing anything to help with this. He wrote cryptic messages instead of addressing the issue. Not all things are as they seem. Next, pay attention to the important things rather than the noise. He was instantly dragged by fans. "The noise is you, sir." There was one comment. "We wouldn't even be here," according to another, "if you weren't with Tamar at the club." Because he didn't explicitly deny anything, people be prepared for the worst. The repercussions extended beyond rumor logs. The story was picked up by major sources, who framed it as a violent love triangle. Talk shows discussed whether Tamar's accident had deeper causes, or if Yandy was unfairly singled out. Other members of the love and hip-hop cast even added nasty comments as if the story couldn't grow much bigger. A phony but convincing police report went viral. One tweet read, "Wouldn't surprise me if somebody finally snapped." It named Tamar Braxton as the assault victim under investigation, and made reference to a female suspect who the victim knew. Despite being later shown to be manipulated, the screenshot had already went around the world. If it was real, fans didn't care. It was important to them because it supported the story they had previously accepted. The public was no longer merely chatting among themselves. They were calling for repercussions. Yandy's arrest was demanded in tweets. Tamar supporters pressed for Mendeecees to make a statement, while other hashtags that portray Tamar as another black woman who has been let down by the system, such as #justice for her. Even those outside of the hip-hop and love circles had to pay notice due to the severity of the backlash. According to insiders, networks were in a frenzy behind the scenes. Hip-hop producers and Love reportedly discussed how to deal with the fallout. Should they entirely distance themselves from it or incorporate it into the show? There were rumors of emergency meetings at VH1 because, let's face it, lawsuits don't sell like drama like this. And rumors of the litigation were already circulating. According to reports, Tamar's camp thought about suing for physical harm and defamation, but they never filed. According to rumors, Yandy had attorneys on quick dial, braced for the worst. Additionally, rumors circulated that Mendeecees would even be questioned for being at the center of it all rather than for using violence. There was more to the cascading effect. Allegedly, brand partnerships were in jeopardy. One skincare brand is set to collaborate with Tamar on discreetly halting promotions. According to reports, a non-profit Yandy collaborated with received negative feedback in their comments. Instagram controversy wasn't the only source of the issue. Their actual means of subsistence were being impacted. One thing emerged as the clearest of all. People were dependent on the narrative. The scandal just became larger with each new leak, rumor, and live. Additionally, viewers couldn't get the image of Tamar's bleeding face and Yandy's purported wrath out of their minds, even as she attempted to shift the focus of the story toward her recovery process. It was similar to seeing a slow-motion auto accident. You were aware that it was unsightly. You couldn't take your eyes off it, even though you knew it was messy. The events that followed were only hinted at in part 2 of this story. The alleged repercussions, the legal ramifications, and the long-term effects that threatened to propel this Atlanta controversy into the national spotlight. Because if you wait until you hear how far the rabbit hole actually went if you thought this was just dirty gossip. The whispers had become a roar by now, and nobody was able to avoid the heat. Tamar's fall wasn't your typical celebrity accident. It had turned into the focal point of one of the most repulsive gossip storms Atlanta had ever witnessed. Fans were certain that something sinister was lurking beneath the surface because of the convoluted time frame, the flimsy denials, and the alleged leaked audio. The fallout was swift. Tamar's team reportedly frantically consulted with attorneys behind closed doors to consider their alternatives, rather than file a formal lawsuit. There were rumors that they asked authorities for answers, but they only gave evasive explanations that were hidden deep in the enigma. Rumor had it that Yandy was also not lounging around doing nothing. It was said that she had crisis managers advising her on each post, urging her to appear composed, focused on her family, and untouchable. It was necessary to polish the picture of the unconcerned wife until it was brilliant. Once more. Naturally, fans weren't holding out for official announcements. Using whatever fragments they could locate, they played detective. The old clips came back. On Love and Hip Hop, Yandy said, "I'll protect what's mine at all costs." This statement now serves as evidence that she had forewarned everyone for a long time. Like coded communications, Tamar's mysterious studio teasers were analyzed. Particularly the remark, "She thought she could break me, but I'm still standing," caused a stir on social media. The timing made it impossible to distinguish between art and scandal, regardless of whether Tamar wrote it about Yandy. Next came the Alleged leaks from hospitals. According to a hazy screen grab purportedly taken from a medical file, Tamar had several contusions, including teeth damage and potential assault. It didn't matter if it was verified or not. Blogs with headlines like "Hospital confirms Tamar was attacked" were all over the place. The damage was already done. The story of the terrible disaster vanished almost immediately, to be replaced with a more sinister ending. They had beaten Tamar. Once hailed as elegant, Yandy's quiet now seems premeditated. Her Instagram was a showcase of her business endeavors, inspirational sayings, and family portraits. However, allegations were used to hijack every comment. "How about you discuss Tamar?" a fan wrote. Someone else scoffed. People that are innocent don't remain thus silent. The dismissive tone of Yandy's last live performance didn't help either. The idea that she was concealing anything was supported by the continuously aired clip. Rather than standing up for anyone, Mendeecees provided gasoline in the form of mysterious captions. "Not all things are as they seem. Concentrate on the important things." He was seen as the shady focal point of it all since he refused to provide names or correct the record. He wasn't simply guilty of flirting with Tamar, according to supporters. He was at fault for allowing two. He sat back in silence as the reputations of women burned. It became too huge for gossip blogs alone. It was discussed on talk shows like a national scandal. The panelists disagreed on whether Tamar had orchestrated the chaos for attention, or if she was a victim of envy. According to one commenter, "If this is accurate, Yandy's work as a public activist is, Tamar has a history of feuds." "This isn't shocking," said another. The argument took the subject beyond of hip-hop circles and into popular society. Fans believed they had seen everything, but then a purported police document appeared online. It provided a list of the victim knew a female suspect. The screenshot went viral even though it was later shown to be manipulated. Perception was more important than truth once more. For thousands, it validated their pre-existing beliefs. Yandy had lost his temper. The financial damage came soon after. According to reports, Tamar's ties suffered when at least one sponsor discreetly halted its advertisements. Online criticism of Yandy's nonprofit initiatives raised serious concerns about how someone with a violent past could oversee community initiatives. Not even Mendeecees was exempt. He hinted at a sneaker collaboration that was abruptly removed from his socials. Reputations were no longer the only factor. The stakes were high. Tamar's health, meanwhile, started to feature in the soap drama. From the hospital bed, she shared self-portraits with the captions, "Healing" and "Moving Forward." But comments became a battlefield rather than a place of pity. She was inundated with prayers from half of her supporters, while the other half accused her of using tragedy to gain influence. Every update turned into a new round in the public opinion court. The vagueness, not just the specifics, was what sustained the controversy. Was Tamar making everything up? Or was she actually attacked? Was Yandy's appearance genuine? Or was it merely a spiraling rumor? Had Mendeecees cheated? Or had he simply had bad timing? The audience was free to create their own versions because there were no specific solutions, and each version was more dramatic than the one before it. The impact was widespread. Online criticism from other reality stars began when tweeting, "Wouldn't surprise me if somebody finally lost it." Fans were merely reminded by the subliminal shots that the business was more aware than they were revealing. The mystery escalated when Funky Daver made a reappearance with a mysterious message that read, "I know what I saw, but I'll never say it out loud." Even if Tamar's buddy declined to speak explicitly, it opened the chance for rumors to run wild. A few weeks later, Tamar had a spectacular rollout for her single. Every lyric was associated with the scandal by fans. Yandy shared pictures from her vacation, beaming with her children as like nothing had happened. Additionally, Mendeecees encouraged a podcast, completely avoiding the problem. What was already ingrained in the internet, however, was not removed by any of it. Trolls would yell, "What about Yandy?" whenever Tamar took the stage, and whenever Yandy wrote something about empowerment, a remark would say, "Keep your hands to yourself." In hip-hop, Mendeecees' name became a byword for treachery. Rings of chatter. Their identities had been forever etched with the controversy. And that's the harsh reality of contemporary controversies. They never fade. They're not buried. They become immortalized, memed, and screenshotted. That night will be mentioned when Tamar releases an album in the future. Mendeecees will always be known as the man who stood in the midst while everything burned, and when Yandy runs for office, someone will say, "Didn't she go wild on Tamar?" Because perception is reality in today's environment. Perception also suggests that Tamar Braxton's mishap wasn't really an accident. It was a scandal, a warning, and a clumsy mix of retaliation and treachery that the internet will never forget. Here we are then. Mendeecees Harris stands in the middle of a storm he won't put out, Yandy Smith painted as the Avenger, and Tamar Braxton was left bloodied. The most absurd aspect is that we might never learn the whole truth. Was it a terrible mishap? After hearing too many rumors, did a jealous wife lose her temper? Or was it a clumsy public relations ploy that got so out of hand that police had to intervene to put an end to it? The truth is that perception is more important than facts in the modern society. Additionally, the current perception is anarchy, treachery, and controversy. The true question, though, is this: who do you think is responsible? Do you believe Tamar is concealing the truth in order to preserve her reputation? After years of humiliation, do you think Yandy lost her temper to defend her marriage? Or is Mendeecees the genius watching two women ruin each other because him? Because this is the one thing that cannot be disputed, regardless of whatever version you choose. The internet never forgets. Memes, movies, and screenshots have already made this controversy a permanent part of history. It's your time now. Put your ideas in the remarks. Which side do you support? Yandy Nobody's or Tamar's? Was this just bad luck, retaliation, or a setup? Above all, what do you believe will happen next? If you're astonished, make sure to hit the like button. If you would like more unique content, hit subscribe. Breakdowns and enable alerts to ensure you don't miss the next shocking revelation. Because believe me, in this chaotic world, the next controversy is in the works and flame will be present to leak.